listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And you can listen to the X-Zone 24/7, 365, as well as our live show Monday through Friday from 8 p.m. Eastern until midnight at www.xzoneradio.com. xzoneradiotv.com, I should say. And if you'd like to listen to our show on your cell phone or on your landline, 213-401-0080. Once again, that's 213-401-0080. My guest this hour is a retired firefighter, paramedic of over 30 years. After he retired, he still wanted to be able to help people at the same time, be able to use his knowledge, experience, and skills. Now, he discovered that there were dedicated people and groups who were investigating for and researching the paranormal. That's when he decided to do a paranormal research and investigate the claims of ghosts and spirits. He found that he could put his 30 years of investigative training and experience to good use. He also found that his interest in history and architecture were met together, and I've said this many times, in this field of study. He has dedicated himself to helping people ease their fears by finding out what is causing the activity and they are experiencing, and whether it can be caused by natural causes or paranormal ones. My guest this hour is Ed Lowe, and Ed, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me.
Ed, did I pronounce your family name right?
It's Laughlin. That's close.
What is it?
Laughlin. Ed Laughlin.
I know what happened. Because on your email, it's from Ed Lau.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Ed.
That's just abbreviated version.
My apologies. Ed Laughlin is our guest. He is with Ghosts of Georgia Paranormal Investigations. And how did you get started in this? What was it? Now, I know you're a former firefighter, paramedic. And by the way, I respect you guys. You do so much. So thank you for your service, first of all. And 30 years of 30 years of doing this, God bless you. I'm sure you've seen a lot. And how does this turn into, the Ghost of Georgia Paranormal Investigations?
Well, like you stated that once I found out people were doing this, I became interested in it. Of course, I was interested in paranormal stuff, prior to retirement. I heard a lot. I didn't really believe much in it or put much stock into it. But over the years, if you talk to any fireman, they get in situations where they wonder, well, how did I get out of that?
Yeah.
I mean, you could explain it with, the help of other people, but, there's some situations, it's like something's there guiding you.
Right.
Also, when I was a paramedic at the time, it became a big deal with out-of-body experiences, and I always wondered with some of our patients that had died on us and we revived and brought back, if they actually had that experience, and my curiosity got up. And when I retired, I had the time to be able to get into this kind of work and find out answers for myself, find out answers for other people. And like you said, it's a good feeling when you're able to help somebody. Mm-hmm. to see the smile on their face, see how relieved they are that don't have to be afraid to live in their house. The kids could go back to the bedrooms and not be afraid. And plus the historic value. We go to a lot of historic places, places where the architecture of homes and houses and buildings is not there anymore. I mean, there's no carpenters and master craftsmen that make these kind of buildings. So all this was an interest to me. So I just found a group. I joined it, and I had a good mentor in that group. He taught me taught me how to, use the equipment, do the investigations, as far as, try to find out the paranormal. Did a lot of reading on it, a lot of research and study, and then after a while, I decided to start my own group, and that was back in 2008. And been doing it ever since.
My goodness. How many cases, Ed, have you and your group, the Ghosts of Georgia Paranormal Investigations, how many cases have you guys investigated since 2008?
Okay, well, the group itself has investigated over 100 different places.
Wow.
Myself, personally, I've done over 200, and with the members I have, you could probably throw in another couple hundred investigations they had prior to coming to the group. So we have the experience. We've seen a lot, and we've experienced a lot of good things with our clients. We've had some of the best clients. So some of them, they get so excited when they listen to some of the audio recordings we have. They hear the relatives, and it brings them closure. And so it's very rewarding that way. And like I said, the group itself has done over 100 investigations we've worked together on.
Ed, what has been the most bizarre case that you have worked on that you can share with us?
Ooh, the most bizarre case. Well, each case has its own, unique experience with it. One investigation we were doing a restaurant, and the lady that called us to come in to do the restaurant, our client, well, she was sitting next to me at base, and all of a sudden she started, saying, "Oh, my back hurts," and said it was burning. So, we pulled her shirt out, and there were some scratch marks, and she wasn't, a foot away from me, and there's other people around her.
Right.
I've been on investigations. Well, one of them, I was using headphones, listening to my audio recorder and seeing if I could hear any voices while we were there, and walked into the client's bedroom, and all of a sudden my headphones get knocked off my head. Another place, which this may sound kind of strange to people, but it was a very unique experience for me. We were doing it's called the Spanish Military Hospital down in St. Augustine. And we were in one of the rooms. We had the doors closed. The air handling system was turned off, so there was no draft or anything. And two investigators that I was with, they were sitting down on the bench, and I was about halfway across the room from them. And I was standing there, and all of a sudden it felt like something caressed my arm, a couple strokes on my forearm.
Wow.
It was like, ooh, this really feels good, Yeah, I know, kind of strange, right? But I'm not one to like to be touched by things I can't see. But at the same time, we're in the hospital, so it kind of reminded me of like there might have been a spirit of a nurse there, or somebody that was caring, and that was really thrilling to me. And of course, the first time that I have been touched. But at the same time that night, we had doors locking. We heard audible growls. We heard, a couple of our sensitives on the team felt like they were being attacked. One of the girls, she actually was channeled by a little girl because her demeanor completely changed. Her voice was completely changed. So there had been, on that investigation, we had a lot of different unique things going on. For me, like I said, it's the first time I was really touched. And earlier in the evening, we had the cold air come circulating around me, and then it went to another investigator that was on the other side of this room that we were in. And it was unique. It made me really kind of think, well, is there really, spirits out there that are coming and communicating with us?
When you and your team are called by someone who require your services. How do you conduct your investigation? Can you take us through the steps?
Sure can. Well, it's about a 3-step process. Excuse me. It's about a 3-step process. Once we get the request, we call the client and do an interview over the phone with them. Then we'll set up an investigation, and that's our second step, is going to the location, taking our equipment with us to gather the data. Mm-hmm. And then the third part is basically the completion of going back, doing the reveal, telling the people what we determine may be there, may not be there, offer them alternative explanations as to what might be causing the things they're experiencing, anything normal that they may not have thought about. So it's like I said, when they call, we'll interview them, then we'll go to their location, their house or business or wherever they want us to go to. And we use basically all the current types of equipment out there. We have several different electromagnetic field meters that we use. We use thermometers. We use infrared cameras, thermal cameras, digital cameras. And we even use some of the old school equipment like compasses and the baby powder.
Right.
Before all the fancy stuff came in. Mm-hmm. But our main tool, I try to tell everybody, our main piece of equipment is our brain, our common sense. We go into a place not thinking it's haunted, but we don't think it's not haunted. We go in just to gather the data with our equipment. Mm-hmm. Then when we review it and go over it and see if we have anything in our pictures, on our video, or on our audio recorders, then we could come to a conclusion of what may be going on. And then we'll go back and tell our clients, what we found out, what we think, due to our knowledge and experience, what we think may be at the house or may not be at the house. And if we determine that there is, some type of spirit there, and if they want a house cleansing, we have people that we can contact to go do a house cleansing. And if we feel like it's something that's going to be strong or something that's, I'm afraid to use the word evil, sure. But, if it's evil or on the bad side, mm-hmm. We have human spirits that can be bad, then we'll contact a priest and have him come out and do a blessing on the house and a blessing on the family. So we just don't leave them hanging. We try to follow through to resolve whatever issue it is that they have there. And a lot of times we find out it's more of a what's the word I'm looking for here? Just to talk to people, and maybe they have family problems that's creating other type of paranormal problems coming on. So we kind of coach them and help them through whatever it is they're going on. And by no means we're not licensed psychiatrists or sure. anything, but we all been through the life's little unpleasantries that we are able to lend to our clients, to help them through some problems they may have that may be causing some of the paranormal activity or causing what they are assuming is paranormal activity.
So how long, let's say that we're talking about a case that isn't induced by the family members themselves, but there's an actual haunting. How long would it take you and your crew and those that you call for assistance to come in and clear the property?
Okay, well, it usually takes us. We used to go in just for one night. We love to come back to do a follow-up investigation on places right. to really determine if there is a spirit there, if it is actually being haunted by the same spirit, or if it's something that's just passing through the person's home. But usually if we just go on one night and we're there anywhere from, could be there 8 to 12 hours. Some places we spent the night all night long. And we'll gather all the data. And then it takes us approximately 2 weeks to review everything mm-hmm. and get our report ready for our clients. And then according to their schedule and our schedule, we meet, do the reveal, and let them know what's there and ask them what they want to do. If we try to teach them how to deal with whatever's there by taking control of their house and and telling the spirits to leave, and hopefully that will work. And if they try that and it doesn't, they usually contact us back, and then we'll contact, say, the couple that does the house cleansings. And it depends upon their schedule, how they look, and it may be a couple weeks before they'll be able to come out. So, we're looking at maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and sometimes a little bit longer, to resolve the issue, to get somebody out there to cleanse the house and to remove the spirits.
Has there ever been a time, Ed, where you realize that 4 to 6 weeks will not cut it? Something has to be done right now.
Yes, sir, we have, especially when there's children involved, and that they're having, that's our main concern is the children.
Sure.
But we in a situation like that, we usually speed up the process of our review, and if we find something during our review, if we find something that really seems harmful to our client before we're done reviewing everything, we'll get back in contact with them and say, hey, look, we need to get something done. And a lot of times when we put a priority rush on things like this, then the people we deal with that come in and help us cleanse the place or bless the place, they'll jump on that right away. They'll rearrange their schedule if they can a lot of times, and we try to get in there within a week or 2 weeks at the latest to get rid of anything that may be harmful to our client and their family. So I guess, I'm trying to think back. We may have done one, I think, within 2 weeks to get rid of whatever's in there, but that was a extreme case, and everything fell together as far as everybody that we had to contact to get in there. So it worked out real well for us, and it worked out well for the client also.
So how do you find the members of your team?
Well, basically, we have an application form on our website, and people that visit our website will send us an application form, and then we'll interview them when we have an opening. We'll interview them and see if they're right for the group. But when I first started, it was kind of a strange coincidence how I got my first member. And actually, what I do on the side is I do some extra work in movies and TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
And I happened to be on the set, and I heard this girl talking with her mom, and one thing led to another. We started talking about the paranormal, and I asked her, hey, I'm starting this group. Do you want to join? She said, oh, sure, And she's been with me ever since. So I'm blessed with her, being on the team. And then we just, word of mouth at first. We talked, talked to different people or talked about what we were doing, and a few people wanted to join, which they did. And then we eventually set up the application page on the website. We've been through a lot of people. They come and go. It's not exactly for everybody, and I think they watch TV shows and think, look at the glamorous part of it, but it is a lot of work involved in it.
That's right.
And it's the fun part is going to places. The rest of it's work, trying to review everything. So, but it's once you join our group, you're going to be involved with everything. You'll be involved with going to the locations, with reviewing all the data that we collect. And occasionally when we do the reveal, we'll have members come with us to do the reveal. And so it can be a full part-time job for people.
Now, the reveal, is that when you sit down with the clients and you go over what your findings are?
Yes, sir. That's what we do is we make a CD disc or
right.
DVD disc. Depends on how much information we have. And we do a written report for the people. And we do a breakdown of exactly everything we did on the investigation, starting when we get there and get our camera set up. We'll do what we call base readings. We'll go through the house, and we'll take temperature readings and take electromagnetic field readings. And as the investigation goes on during the night, if there's any change with these base readings, we'll know that something's going on. So we start with that, give a description of the house. If there's any outside noise that comes in the house during the investigation, we make notation of that on the report. If the windows are drafty where people feel cold spots in the house, which could be caused by drafty windows, we make notations of that. And then we write down exactly everything that we do in order, and put the times with it and who was on what team, and then we'll get down to the bottom and we'll give them a summary of what we feel like is there, what the different evidence that we have to support our findings, and then then below that we'll have if we have personal experiences, which we do, on just about every investigation, we'll put down the experiences that each investigator has had. And a lot of times it goes along with the report of what they give us, of the things they experience, so that leads credence to whatever they're, experiencing. So it looks like more and more there may be paranormal experiences.
What kind of experiences? What kind of experiences have your investigators reported while on an investigation?
Basically, a lot of us have heard disembodied voices, throughout the house at different times. Sometimes we even feel the cold spots, and we could measure them by our thermometers and stuff. People being touched, seeing shadow figures.
Right.
Yeah, the ladies, they usually get touched. They always complain about getting pinched on the butt. So, I don't know what it is with the spirits on the other side, but that's a lot of the personal experiences that they tell us. And so basically, that's it. The shadow figures. To hear the disembodied voices. Larry, one of my team members, he actually saw an apparition at Hale's Bar. It's a closed down hydroelectric plant, and him and another investigator were down in the tunnels, and he just happened to see his figure walk across. And of course, I'm mad at him because I've never seen a full body apparition like he did. But anyway, it's just stuff like that. Things that catch the corner of your eye, unusual light. Sometimes we get some unusual lighting that comes on or moves around the room that we can't figure out. It's not cars. Nobody has flashlights on, and we hear a lot of knocks and a lot of different noises other than the house noises or building noises. We've had actually responses. We do the knock on the wall,
right.
One time, two times, and we've had responses come back, with our yes and no questions. We use the flashlight a lot of times to try to communicate with the other side, and I'm sure most of your listeners are familiar with the flashlight communication, where we ask the spirits to turn on the light for yes answers and then turn it back off. Well, we've had a lot of success with that, but every session is not really conclusive. But we've had where our EMF meters be sitting next to the flashlight, and they would spike up the same time the flashlight would come on. It would go off immediately when we asked it to, or other times it would just kind of drag and turn off, so we weren't sure on some situations that wasn't really, could have been a flashlight, it could have been the way it was set or whatever, but at other times we had the flashlight come on and off, and we knew some of the answers that it was answering yes to, and we knew that they were being correct about that. So that's always, a thrill to see that going on, especially when we have other evidence like the EMF meters going up, or if we have a cold spot going, still a cold spot during the time the flashlight's going on and off. And what we like to do is have at least 3 pieces of different evidence, like the flashlight, if somebody's touched at the same time, or we have an EVP. We can't just really go with one, like the flashlight coming on or somebody feeling the cold spot. We like to have at least 3 different things going on at the same time.
Ed, you and I have to take a short break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and once again, thank you for your service.
Well, thanks, sir. Appreciate that.
Exonation Ed Laughlin is our guest this hour. He is the gentleman who founded Ghosts of Georgia Paranormal Investigations. Their website is www.ghostsofgeorgia.org. That's www.ghostsofgeorgia.org. And Ed and I will be back on the other side of the short break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Once again, you can listen to the X Zone Monday through Friday from 8 p.m. Eastern until midnight at www.xzoneradiotv.com. And the rest of the time at that website, we play the best of continuous X Zone shows starting in 1992. Some of the greats who are no longer with us: Bud Hopkins. Bud Hopkins, Neil Armstrong, Glenn Kimball. Just a few of the greats that we've had the pleasure of having on this show. And we try to keep their memory alive by playing their interviews because they've had so many important things to say. Ed and I will be back on the other side of this break. X Zone Nation, don't go away. You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Welcome back, everyone. Ed Laughlin is our special guest this hour. Ed is the founder of Ghosts of Georgia Paranormal Investigations, and their website is www.ghostsofgeorgia.org. Ed, as best as you can figure out, what is a ghost and why do they stay and cause havoc in some places?
Well, there's a lot of theories about why ghosts hang around. The most prevalent one is to have unfinished business. They're killed tragically, and they feel like they still have things to do, and they don't want to move on. Others, I feel like they just feel comfortable being around their family that's here, which we try to encourage the spirits to move on, to go to the light or go to wherever the deceased family members are and their friends are at. And some just kind of just they're stuck in a loop. Was more of a residual type of haunting where they're used to doing something over and over again for 30, 40, 50 years, and their energy is imprinted there. And it's not necessarily that they're there or their spirit's there, but their energy is there. And a lot of people do experience residual hauntings like that. And others, they just they get attached to something, some kind of materialistic object that they just love dearly, and they just don't want to let go of it. Why do they cause havoc in people's homes? Well, we find that most of the time they're not really trying to cause havoc. They're just trying to let people know that they're there. They're trying to communicate with the living. For a lot of times they just have a message they want to get across or be heard, not necessarily any certain message. We found that, once we go to a house and the spirits there do let themselves be known and maybe give us a message to pass along, then activity in the home subsides or quits, permanently. So we feel like that, okay, well, we're there, we got the equipment that they could communicate with the living. We pass messages along, they're happy and they're gone. Others, we feel like are just mischievous type of ghost. The saying is what you are in life, you'll be in death. If you're a prankster in life, you'll be a prankster in death. If you're a good person in life, you're a good person, on the other side, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of times, you have pranksters just like playing jokes on people and seeing our reactions. Others, if they're bad, in nature, when they were alive and they had a bad nature, well, they're going to be grumpy and bad in death. And a lot of times they don't want to leave their home because this is the house they lived in for 50, 60 years. They may have built it with their own hands, and they're still vested in it, and they want to make sure that that house is going to be taken care of. And they don't like people coming in there, especially changing things. And there's a lot of different various reasons. And, of course, there are, we feel like there's demonics out there, but that's rare. That's rare cases. You rarely run into that. But, they're out there, and, those cases are usually, the activity is a lot different than what you're getting in with the human type of hauntings. So there's a various amount of reasons why they hang around, and but most people, when they have something happen, they get afraid because they're not sure what's going on. And like I said, most of the time they're just trying to let people know that they are there, and we try to tell our clients not to be afraid. This is what they're doing to let you know that they're there, and maybe they have a message, maybe they want to let you know they're there. Also, we feel like family members of the clients, they don't necessarily hang around, but they do come and go. And we feel like that during times of stress that, a family member may come and may do something to let the client know that it's them, that they're there, whether it be some kind of a odor that, say a cologne or something that the deceased person used to wear all the time. And that kind of gives the client, makes them feel better during the times of stress or if they're having, some kind of issues in their life. So it's hard to really tell, what you run into. And a lot of times, like I said, we find that, after we were there, that things quiet down. But sometimes they pick up too.
But what happens? How do you explain all right, I understand that if somebody has built a house, they may want to stick around. I can understand if it's a family member who is coming back to help to be with another family member in a time of need. But what happens if the spirit is not the house builder or is not a member of the family and the haunting is present? How do we explain that?
Well, a lot of times it has to do with the land itself, and it's hard to really go back in history far enough to figure out what might have been there. This country, we started on the East Coast and everybody moved west. So we had people, all throughout the history of our country going, across the land, and you hear of sad cases where children die or women and men die on these on the movement. So unfortunately, they have to bury the people wherever they're at the time. And we've had wars, the Civil War, especially in our area. We had the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and we feel like a lot of soldiers, they get killed. A lot of families that used to live on that land during the wars, they were killed. So a lot of that energy is left with the land, and those are the traumatic type of hauntings that you get. These people may be lost; they don't know what's going on. Where there's trees and land now are buildings, and if they're seeing the difference, they're kind of lost in what year is it? Where am I at? So they're there, they're stuck. They don't know where to go.
Okay, now you just brought up an interesting point. You just brought up a real interesting point. If a soldier from, let's say, the battle between the North and the South in the U.S. is dead, and he is remaining, okay? Why wouldn't he not be held in that sliver of time where he was killed, where he died? And why wouldn't his surroundings remain in that snapshot of time? How does he get from one era to the next, if in fact it is a ghost from a certain era?
I wish I knew the right answer for that. Then they don't tell us, but it's to me it's unknown because we've had people talk about seeing Civil War soldiers and looking them in the face like they're seeing them. And to me, if I was dead and if I come back and I see things are different or through the years, that would be something that would probably drive me insane. We did Anderson Civil War Prison. We did an investigation there, which was really interesting because, you could actually feel the sadness. You walk onto the field where, I don't know if you're familiar with Anderson Civil War Prison.
No, I'm not.
It was built. Okay, well, it was down here in South Georgia. That's where Confederate soldiers held the Union soldiers. But the problem was the prison was built for, I think, like 3,000 or 4,000 prisoners, but they were having up to 10,000 prisoners there. And they had one creek that ran through the grounds where people got their drinking water from. And unfortunately, on one end, they used it as a bathroom, and contaminated the water. People living so close, there's no health, no medicines, and nothing to help the soldiers. And one person gets sick, and next thing the soldier next to him gets sick.
Sure.
So thousands have died, and it was very atrocious type of conditions, and it was very sad. I mean, there's a lot of things went on there, as you can imagine, like goes on in any prison.
Yeah.
But so while we were there, we did hear some disembodied voices. We heard some noises would sound like gunshots. The most amazing thing was one of our teams was at one end where they used to take the bodies after they died, and they would hold them until they could move them to the cemetery. And in this particular area, there's 5 investigators there. One of them was trying to fix their camera and didn't see the light, but 4 of them, including our guide, who was a park ranger there, they saw this light coming through between these 2 posts where there was a gate that used to go into the prison. And so this light came out and lit up the ground all around them, and it stayed there for a good 10 seconds, all of them said. And they looked around. There's no cars around, no helicopters, no airplanes, nothing that could be shining a light on there.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of figured that maybe that's, was an opening for some of the soldiers' spirits to move on. But as far as your question goes, now, in this particular area, I feel like they were there in their own time because they were still at the prison, and to them, they were stuck there, and they may have seen, the walls that used to be up and all the soldiers guarding them, etc. But just like anybody, I mean, we've had spirits from dressed in mid 1800 garb, that shows up. People have seen, and I tell you the truth, I don't know what they're seeing. They see us. Are they seeing the same building we're seeing? I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if they travel from one area to the other, or if they're basically stuck to that particular house or that particular land. Those that are attached to objects, material things, I believe they do move from place to place along with the material item that's being moved. But really, I can't really answer that question. We asked them, in our EVP sessions, we asked, why are you here? Who's our president now? Who's, what do you see? And try to get responses, see if they're seeing the same thing we have.
And what kind of answers do you get?
Well, we did get Obama a couple of times when we asked who's president, so they obviously know something's going on. But usually it's they say things, or some of the answers are short, but it's like, we ask them, is this their house? And if we don't get no answer, then we ask, well, did you live on this land before this house was built? And we get a lot of yeses, like they were associated with that land. And we've had, some answers come back when we ask, well, was this your house? And we've had a couple of times, yes, they used to live there. So they are seeing the same house, but some of them are seeing maybe the land, or they're seeing the house, but they don't know, why it's there, or we've never got a response of, do you know who built this house, and, why is this house here? Do you know what happened? They never answer everything that we ask, unfortunately.
Gotcha. So as I understand it, the ghosts are energy remnants. If you ask a question and they give you an answer, then it's an intelligence of some sort. So how do we explain?
Correct, uh-huh.
Okay, so how do we explain that if this is energy that has remained and can be perceived or identified by the use of different technology, and if we take the number of people who die during a year, multiply that by 50 years, or if you're going back to the 1800s, take all those years, the number of deaths multiply. Shouldn't we be overrun by ghosts?
Well, I think it's just my personal opinion. All the millions of people that have died ever since Earth and the Homo sapiens been on Earth, I mean, it's up in the millions.
Right.
And the question was asked me one time, well, why are we only communicating with those back into the 1800s, maybe 1700s?
Right. How come there's never been a ghost of a Neanderthal that has been spotted? You know.
Well, exactly right. Exactly. And I think, we're basically energy. Our bodies are just our vessels that carry our energy around. And I think that, when we die, energy never goes away; it just changes form.
Right.
And being an intelligent type of energy, I think we have the ability to choose if we wanted to go into the light or go wherever, or if we wanted to stay around, hang around. So those, because of our intelligence, is why we, are able to communicate with the other side, because they're intelligent too, and they actually, I don't know how